Imagine you run a big company, right? And let's say I'm the CEO of a big company. I want to have a way, without ever having to use a human, and I can get this answer in less than 5 seconds. I want to be able to type in, what was the gross margin? Let's say I'm the CEO of Apple. I want to type in, what was the gross margin of Apple in 2009? And be able to see that immediately. I want to be able to type in, how many iPhones did we sell in the first quarter of 2014, and be able to see that within 2 or 3 seconds, right? How many customers have upgraded from an iPhone 13 to an iPhone 14 so far this year, right? I'm sure Apple has that data somewhere, but I can tell you that data is probably not going to be easy to get to. Imagine if there's a system that could spit that answer out like that, right? But also, if it's giving me real-time data, I can't have all my employees having that, right? It can only be a few select executives. So these are the important things that we got to think about as these systems get built out over the next 5-10 years, and that these are the type of things that Palantir is working on here. Think about how much faster you can make decisions if you don't need a bunch of people running around trying to find that, hey, how many iPhones did we sell in the first quarter? Oh, let me look that up. Okay, I got to start going through these files and all this data, right? But on the flip side, you need only certain individuals to be able to see certain segments of data, right? Like maybe you don't want everybody to see every single data point, right? Like let's say we're getting into some more confidential information, like what was our main chip supplier last quarter for XYZ chip that goes into the iPhone, and how much were we paying them, and what gross margin did that company actually report, right? Let's say I was trying to find out those sorts of data points in regards to a company. You know, certain executives might have access to that, but maybe certain other folks shouldn't have access to that are inside the organization. Imagine you're a government entity and you need to find out information and have the system sift through data and be able to spit you out an answer that's accurate and true within seconds, right? And so not only does that information need to be perfect and right and correct, but also certain people should have access to certain data and be able to use, let's say, something that's similar to a ChatGPT, right, to give you this information, but other folks shouldn't have access to that, right? Never mind organizations outside of that organization, whether it's a government entity or private entity. And so this is the work that Palantir is putting in here that I think is very important to break it down in the most simple place possible. I don't know if you guys heard what Elon Musk said, but Elon Musk kind of, put it out there that we should do like a 6-month pause on AI technology and whatnot. And, it sounds like CARP's definitely pushing back here. Some have called for a pause on efforts to develop even more powerful versions of these emerging technologies, hoping perhaps that our adversaries will join us in consideration, in considered reflection on the capabilities of such systems and their accompanying risks. To pause our current efforts, however, would be to indulge in the fantasy of a world without conflict. Very well put, Alex Karp, right? I mean, it goes back to the theory of why do we need weapons? Why do we need tanks and missiles and all this stuff, right? And it is a great theory. Like, I wish we could get rid of it all throughout the world. There'd be no missiles and tanks and conflicts and things like that, right? But that's just not the reality. It's just not the reality, right? It's no different than it would be nice to not even have to have a car alarm, right? Like, why should it would be sweet if we all got rid of all our car alarms, right? If you did that, there's obviously a lot of people out there that would break into cars a whole lot more if we did something like that, right? And either steal the cars or go for joyrides or steal the stuff in them, whatever, right? And so that's why we have that, because there's a lot of people that choose to do that. And so it's nice to believe that, we could do this, do that, but the bottom line is not everybody agrees with that stance. And therefore, you must protect yourself and to, kind of stop what the work that's being done and hope everybody else stops. Oh, yeah, I think that's it. It may be in a perfect world. All right, so markets in general, right? Very interesting day out there here today. A lot of green, but a couple big movers down, right? Microsoft and Amazon. In its own cloud worries, analysts talking about cloud worries from Microsoft's cloud, maybe potentially Amazon Web Services here over the next 6 to 12 months in regards to that, right? And I don't talk a lot about Microsoft stock on the channel. I don't own Microsoft stock, but I mean, this is a debated stock right now because a lot of people feel like it's expensive. I don't know if it's that expensive, to be honest. Forward P at 27 on the stock, right? Market trades at 20-ish, somewhere around there, maybe slightly under. So you're talking about you're paying a bit of a premium for this company, but you're buying a business model that is somewhat recession-proof. I mean, you think about Microsoft and whether the economy is great, okay, bad. I mean, they're going to continue to put up their numbers, right? And you even think about their cloud product. It's a needs-based product. It's not like you can just get rid of that. And you also look at something like Microsoft is now an owner of roughly 50% of ChatGPT, which is the biggest opportunity we've seen in a long time, right? I mean, there's a lot of thought that ChatGPT long-term could be the next Google. And if Microsoft owns almost half the company, and you could run the numbers on that, if they become the next Google, we'll see if that happens, right? But they have a long runway ahead of themselves, right? And that's an incredible opportunity for Microsoft. And so when you look at a stock like Microsoft, I don't know if it's really as expensive as people think, right? And if this stock went down, 10, 20%, I would actually probably consider buying a position for myself, which I've never actually owned Microsoft stock in my life. But I got to say, there's a lot more that is a very comforting feeling to be in a stock like Microsoft overall, right? Now, this is bad news, okay? Bad news. This is a commodity index. This baby's, let's call it what it is, skyrocketing recently, specifically over the past several weeks, okay? I mean, this is a year-to-date, and now on a year-to-date basis, commodities are actually up. This index is now actually up 1%. We don't want to see that, folks. We do not want to see that. I'm hoping this is just a short-term situation we have going on here, and then commodities are going to come back down, because I'm telling you, this is not good. This is not good for the market. We need to continue to kill inflation. If commodities spike massively for any reason over the next few months, it's going to make the Fed's job harder, and it makes the odds of the Fed having to raise rates more or keep rates higher for longer. It makes it a higher probability. And this is why if you look at something like Trueflation, which I love to look at for kind of real-time inflation data, in my opinion, right? You've seen a spike up here over the past few weeks. That's not something we want to see. No. Okay? We need to continue to see Trueflation numbers go down and down and down. And over time, I believe the U.S. government numbers will reflect where Trueflation's at. But, I mean, we don't want to get stuck in the 4s. That's all I'm going to say about that. We need to climb down to we need to see this number go down in the 3s and then stay in the 3s and then hopefully reach a 2. That's when we can really, really feel confident about the Fed being done in this game. But until that happens, you can't really say the Fed's done, right?